All right, so remember we had here 50 values, right? So we had 50 generated numbers of x and y. All right, now what I want here is, okay, I'm not sure if I could, there we go. I want the computer to analyze the first 40, okay, the first 40 inputs of our x and y, but then, okay, we hide we hide the last 10, we hide the last 10 inputs of our x and y, and this is what the computer should be able to predict. All right? Right. Now here, when we want the computer to analyze the first 50 inputs, this is what we call our training data. Okay, training data meaning the data that we want the computer to analyze, and then we have the test data, okay, which is, okay, we want the computer to predict. Okay, so we know the answers, or we know all the 50 inputs. Okay, we know all the inputs, but we hide we hide the last 10 inputs to the computer, or what we call our test data, test data, so that the computer can predict it. Okay, can predict the last 10 inputs. In short, in short, the test data is like an exam for our computer, and then the training data is like the manual for our computer. When I say for our computer, think of it as our baby Frankenstein. Okay? Exam for our baby Frankenstein. All right? So here, the training data is the data that we want our baby Frankenstein to analyze, and then the test data is like an exam for our baby, okay, Frankenstein. Okay, so number one, let's create now. Okay, oops. Let's just put this down. There we go. Let's put this down. Let's create let's create the training data from our in x and y input. Okay, x and y input. Right. So remember, what we had is I want the computer to analyze the first 40 inputs of our x and y data. So let's create a code. You remember we had here our variable x. So x, okay, underscore train. So underscore train, this is a reserved syntax. And what we want is for our computer to analyze the first 40 elements of our x and y. Okay, so let the computer analyze the first 40 inputs of x. Same thing, of course, we have to use, we also have to do it with our y. Okay, so y is equal to train, and then y, and then again colon 40, and let the computer analyze the first 40 inputs of our y data. So don't forget to run this one and then run this one. Okay? Let's train the data. Oops. Let's train the data. There we go. Okay? Next. Okay? What you want now is let's create the code for our test data. Okay? So let's just add the text here. Okay? Create the code for our test data. All right, for x and y. All right, so let's just make this bold. And all you have to do here is, if you want the code for the x and y data, let's create the code. All we have to do now is x and then test our test data. What will be the contents of our exam of our text data? Basically, it's X. You just simply copy this one, and then just change the semicolon here. So here, um, these are the last 10 elements or 10 input of X and Y that we hide from baby Frankenstein, Frankenstein, and we want Frankenstein, okay, Frankenstein to be able to predict these numbers, okay? So same thing with the Y, just copy this one, okay, instead of X test, Y test. There we go. Then Y. Let's try to see this one. All right, now, do I have more minutes? Because, all right, so in the next lesson, what we're going to do now is we're just going to plot this in a graph so that we'll be able to see our test data and training data visually. Okay? I'll see you in the next lesson.